Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to go over some audio functions in Premiere Pro. Specifically, I'm going to go over stereo versus mono. So what is mono and stereo? So basically mono is when you're dealing with one central channel for sound, and stereo you're dealing with two independent channels for sound. So when you're dealing with mono clips, it's a little bit easier to deal with in Premiere Pro. When you're dealing with stereo clips, though, that's when things can get a little bit more complex. So I'm going to go over that. So for this specific example, I've got a clip here where I have two different audio sources being recorded. I've got one microphone recording downstairs, and then I've got another microphone right on top of the camera here. So I'm going to go ahead and play for you. So if you have a set of headphones, you'll be able to hear it a little bit more clearly. But what we're dealing with is the left channel, the one on my left channel, is the microphone that's downstairs right above the cash register. And that's because there was a lot more of foot traffic and a lot of interaction that was going to happen there. So they decided to put the microphone right above the register. The other microphone is the one that is following the subject. And you can kind of hear it with the door opening, a little bit of laughter coming out of the subject. But the problem is that I'm hearing both microphones at the same time when really all I want to hear is the one that's following the subject. So how do we do that? How do we do it? Figure that out. Let me show you how. First, I do want to tell you how to know visually quickly that this is a stereo clip, and there's many ways to do it, but visually, the great indicator is by just expanding the track by dragging the bottom of the track. And right away, I could just look at the waveforms and say, hey, that looks totally different from one channel to the other, right? One looks a little bit more spiky. The other one looks more of like a plateau or just kind of like a blob, right? So that's a really good indicator that tells me that this is a stereo clip. The other thing is I could see both channel, the left and right. You can see that there's both audio sources, all within one track and not separate tracks. So that's just a quick way to figure out that this is stereo clip. All right, so let's go ahead and modify this. Let me undo that, zoom out here with minus. And what I'm gonna do is I'm going to right click the clip, and then a menu will appear, and then I'm going to go and select audio channels. And when I select that, a modify clip menu will appear. And from here, what I'm going to do is explain here real quick the media source channel. This is where, this is basically your source. So the left source is the one that's downstairs, the microphone on top of the register. The right source is the microphone on top of the camera. So what I want to do is I want to change I want the right source to feed through both the left channel and the right channel. Basically, I want this source to go in here. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this box here. And now that source, the one on the right, is going to feed through both the left and the right, just as it's showing here. I'm going to hit OK. And there you go. Take a look at that. And in fact, let's listen to it and see the difference. So already you can hear clearly everything upstairs, and you get rid of the sound downstairs. Right? And even to the point where we can hear clearly the laughter coming out of the subject, right? And I could do the reverse as well, and it won't make any sense contextually, but at least I just want to show it to you. So now I've moved the left source to feed through both the left and right on the track here, and you can see the difference. So right there, you hear everything downstairs, but you don't even hear the door opening. You don't even hear the subject laughing. So you can see how quickly you can modify the channels using the audio channels here. I'm going to go back to how it should be. And so that's just a really quick and easy way to modify the channels. Now, the problem with this, though, is if, let's say, this is good if you know for sure you need to use one channel or the other, right? But what if you need to use both? That's where things get a little complicated with a stereo clip. And that's where you're going to want to break it into two mono channels, two of their own, like two separate audio sources going into their two independent tracks and not in a stereo. So how do I do that? Well, you're not going to be able to do it here in the timeline. That's where you're going to need to do it in the project window. And so just to give you context, if I were to scrub this video, the subject makes her way back down from the top warehouse down to the downstairs. It eventually makes her way to the cash register. Now, I told you earlier in the video that there's a microphone right above the cash register, right? There's that microphone right there. And there's the one that's following the subject on top of the camera, still on the right channel. So what happens if in the middle of this clip I want to use the microphone on top of the register, right? And we can't do that because I switched it here. And if I were to go back to audio channels and do it the other way, well, now I'm now using the microphone on top of the register, but I also get rid of the microphone on the shoe mount, which could also be really good audio. I could, of course, take the best of both worlds and have one for the register, one for the microphone on the camera, and I could do it that way as well. But let's just, for whatever reason, you need to separate it. And you're not, the places you can't do it in the timeline. There's just no way to do that. However, if you go back to the original source in the project window, this is where you'll be able to change it from a stereo clip to a mono clip. So to do that, you find the source and you can go ahead and right click the clip and go to modify audio channels. And you're going to see this modify clip menu again, right? But the difference here is now these options are available for me to change. And so I'm going to change the clip channel format from its original stereo to mono. And not only that, I'm going to need to break it to two separate mono clips so that I can have both the left audio source to go through its own channel and the right audio source to go through its own channel. And I'm going to hit OK. And you get this little menu here, this little warning that says source clips in use. Changes to the clip channel format or number of audio clips will not affect clips already in a sequence, but will be applied to the next time this clip is edited into a sequence. Do you want to continue? So basically it's saying that it's not going to affect what's already on my sequence, but it will affect any clips that you put onto the sequence after I hit yes. So I'm going to hit yes. And now I'm going to go ahead and let me zoom out here and just do a drag and drop here. And now take a look. Now you can see that it's the same exact clip. I'm going to expand this track to see a little bit better. Now you have the same exact clip as the one before. The only difference is now it's separated into their own different mono tracks. See that? And you can see the waveforms too, how different they are, right? And so that's how you can now, from here, you can completely affect one or the other audio source without having to deal with it all stuck on a stereo. And that's just the way to do it. And here's the cool part. With both doing it here and on the timeline, you can highlight as many clips as you want and go ahead and modify audio channels. So you can do that across the board with all your clips on your project window. And the same token, if you're trying to do the same thing, let's say you cut everything and you realize you wanted to be on a different channel, you can highlight as many clips here and apply the audio channels here if you needed to change the media source channel. So that's a cool thing about Premiere, is that the ability to batch change or affect multiple clips all at once. I hope this gives you a greater understanding of how to deal with stereo clips versus mono clips in Premiere Pro. In videos coming up, I'll be able to explain a little bit more about how to actually modify audio to level it, or if I wanted to keyframe it. I'll go over that more in detail in videos to come.